Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I'm excited to be with you here today. We've got an incredible conversation on all things leadership coming up, which I know a lot of our TNT family, our entrepreneurs, leaders, family leaders, influencers, coaches, the whole nine. So this is one you want to lean into. Before we jump in, I want to give a special thank you to our sponsors, Lux Neuro, offering neurofeedback and counseling where your heart and mind align. For more information about what neurofeedback can do for you, listen to the neurofeedback stories of transformation in the middle of this podcast. Neurofeedback effectively treats everything from insomnia, anxiety, depression, trauma, ADHD, and much more. Optimize your brain. Special shout out to Declan James Watches, local family-owned fellow CrossFitter. They are former Navy SEAL, beautiful watches, locally made. Check them out at DeclanJamesWatches.com, and they have 10% of all their proceeds going back to the Navy SEAL Foundation. Finally, our family swim school, Colorado Clownfish Swim School, swim lessons and water safety training for all ages. They believe in life skills through sports. Come waterproof your family today. Check them out at coloradoclownfish.com. Without further ado, Karin Hurt, welcome to Turmeric and Tequila.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, we are going to jump right in. I do want to read her bio because it covers a lot of ground. Karin Hurt is the founder and CEO of Let's Grow Leaders, a global leadership development company known for practical leadership development that sticks. She's the author of 5 books, including powerful phases for dealing with workshop conflict and courageous cultures. Ooh, we got a lot to unpack. But if you listen to TNT, before we get into the mission and all the details here, I want to know about young Karin, because I think what we're going to do is it's happening as young people. It's already in the stars, and then we kind of grow up to be and do what we're doing. But tell me about the young version of yourself.
So it's interesting. My mom used to say that I was leading before I could talk. So I would line up the stuffed animals and would, be organizing. So I have really always had a passion for, being a leader, being out there, having a vision, transforming people to that vision. So I would say, and I know you have a swim school as your sponsor. I also have a swimming background. And so I was a synchronized swimmer and went to Junior Olympics in synchronized swimming. And I was also a swim team coach for several years. So yeah, so for all your swimmers out there, I'm one of your people.
There you go. Hey, water baby, let's go. That's so wild. I mean, I don't think synchronized swimming gets enough views on what it is and how hard it is. But if you watch it at the Olympics, you're like, oh my God, are those real humans? Is this AI? Because it's incredible. How did you even get into that?
So it's interesting because I was a competitive regular swimmer and my dad came home one day and he said, I am carpooling with this guy whose daughter is doing this thing and it's called synchronized swimming. And I'm also very musical. And he said, I think this is going to combine your sense of music with your ability to be a strong swimmer. And I think you would really dig it. And he was right. But nobody was doing it back then. It wasn't in the Olympics at that point. And I would go in and people were like, oh, isn't that cute? And then we went into a biology class. And we had to blow to demonstrate your lung capacity.
Oh my
gosh!
And
I was like a little 110-pound thing, and I blew. And my biology teacher was like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "That's because of synchronized swimming. It is a for real sport." So.
Oh my! Well, first of all, good job, Dad. Way to blend worlds here. Seemingly opposing things can harmoniously coexist. Swimming and music and underwater dancing. That's wild. And I love that you had this opportunity to show your varsityness as a kiddo with the bubble blowing. That's hilarious. And what an opportunity to kind of be a silent leader where it's like, oh no, don't judge a book by its cover. I might be 100 pounds, but look at this skill set you didn't even know.
Right.
That's so wild. And I love, so as a longtime athlete, I had 3 younger brothers, but I'm a massive advocate for life skills through sports, especially for our young women and learning things. You learn teamwork, leadership, commitment, timeliness, all the things as a young person without someone being like, you need to do this. You just kind of learn it. How much do you think your athletic career impacted or inspired what you do today?
I think a couple of things. One, the synchronized swimming, it is a team sport, right? If you watch, they are totally in sync, and you are not, you don't, even if you could get your legs up higher than everybody else, you don't, right? So because you're doing it for the greater good. And I think that's so important as, in leadership and collaboration, and we're talking about dealing with conflict, all of that is, if you go in and saying, I am looking for, we have a shared, what does success look like for the team, for our shared understanding of success, and being willing to know that your success depends on other people's success. And that also means that you are now investing in developing other people, because if you've got some things that are stronger, or if you're weaker, the team is helping each other to get to the, upgrade everybody's skills. So that's from a synchronized swimming perspective. But I imagine you really believe this, Kristen, it's the endurance. It's the willingness to put in every single day. And it's a slog. And, I ran the Boston Marathon. You don't get there by, not running when it's snowing.
Right.
It's
right.
And so it's not just to get what you want. It means that you have to show up every single day and really put in the work and, overcome the injuries and push through. And I think that's also a useful, when the going gets tough at work, you're like, okay, I see the light on the other end of it. I see the value on the other end of this.
I could not have said that better myself. I completely agree. It's about showing up no matter what, consistently, and choosing the hard thing. And that's not everyone. That is not leadership is not for every human being out there. And that's okay, because we need followers too. And the ones that do choose it, honor that and embrace it. And I think it's really about personal responsibility. You have no one like tapping on you saying, get up, you need to go run. We have this goal at the end of the thing. Like, you easily can sign up for the race and then just be like, my knee hurt, or the weather was bad. Like, there's always an excuse. Right. Few humans complete it. Lots of them sign up, but few complete it. And I think you walking in it or running in it is almost as important as the knowledge, education, whatever else. Like, you are that in real life influencer walking or running in what you're saying. Like, you're walking it and talking it at the same time. Yeah. Or jogging it. I don't know. Did you do like a run?
So no, I had to qualify for Boston. So yeah, I ran it. But the harder race was the qualifying race. It was the Philly Marathon, because that one, you're down to every mile. Am I on pace? And I only qualified with like a minute and a half extra. So
okay. That's huge. So I'm a longtime CrossFitter, did D1 sports, but I wanted to run a marathon once in my life. So I signed up for the Dopey Challenge, which is a 5K, 10K half full in 4 days. Cause I just wanted to do the most. Well, yeah. And I've had ACL, so my body was like, what are you doing? But anyways, I'm like, we got to pace it out. So I did like a run walk method. The point is, the hard part is the timing and like staying in it, but it's also just like letting like your body and your mind maintain, because you guys are so good about doing a lot of the same thing, like hours at a time. It's a huge piece of your life that you've got to commit to. It's kind of wild.
Yeah. It's just like anything else. You got to also love it, right? It's
100%.
It's not for everyone. And I find that there's real meditation in that kind of endurance stuff too.
Yes. Yeah, you got to find the angle that incentivizes you. Well, so with that, obviously you're a competitor and leader at heart. At what point are in your personal and professional journey were you like, I'm going to start this company, I'm passionate about leadership? And what was like the main goal in doing this?
Yeah, so before starting Let's Grow Leaders, I worked at Verizon telephones, for 2 decades. So the first decade, and my graduate work is all in this kind of stuff: leadership development, organizational development. So I was in HR for a decade, where I did every role in HR except compensation. So HR business partner, led a large training team, merger integration stuff. And then I had a really great intervention by Senior Vice President of Customer Service. And I was working on some merger stuff with him. And he said, hey, Karin, what are you going to do next? And I said, well, it'll probably be VP of HR. He goes, yeah, sure, you could. But you have a lot more credibility. I will listen to you more about leadership if you have led really large teams. Right now, your HR team is 30 people. I'd like to see you lead 1,000 people. And let's see how you do. And then come to me and teach me your leadership theories. And I am so grateful for him. He wasn't my boss. He was just a guy who took an interest in me. And so I went and worked in his organization, and I led a bunch of large call centers. And that gave me the confidence to, well, if I could do that without having ever taken a customer call, maybe I could lead a large sales team. So then I led a 2,200 person sales team. And then I moved to and led a 10,000 person customer service organization. And while I was doing all of that, my last role at Verizon was doing this, working with all of our outsourced contact centers. So other companies that were taking Verizon's calls. And I was visiting all these centers, trying to turn them around because their performance was not where it needed to be. So I started writing a blog about really simplifying leadership, because in these outsourced call centers, there's not a lot of time to pull people off the phones to do coaching. You don't have the kind of resources that you do at a Verizon. And so we had to break it down. And I started breaking it down. Like, if you've got 5 minutes to have a coaching conversation, this is what you do. This is how you approach it. This is how you do an effective one-on-one. This is how you get a team rallied around a vision. And the blog took off. It just got, I'd written it for those call centers, but it just started getting international following. People started calling, when are you writing a book? Can you come do this for us? Will you be our keynote speaker? And I thought, that might be more fun than selling phones. So that was 12 years ago, and I took a leap. I gave Verizon 4 months notice, and I started Let's Grow Leaders. And it's a roller coaster being an entrepreneur, but I have no regrets. I really love the work that we do. We work all over the world, and we're very focused on very practical. That's really our brand. If you do our leadership development, or you hear a keynote, or you read our book, you will take something that you can use right away. And we're very committed to that.
I love that. Well, this is absolutely where your success in marathoning comes in, because it is like the long game. No joke. And not only being good at marathons, but like qualifying for the Boston Marathon. So I can see where, personality traits always overlay into our leaders and our successful humans, because it is like that practice of the long game. And showing up to like just solve the problem. Like, you don't know when you're going to injure your knee or whatever. Like, entrepreneurs, you got to navigate. And then also listen. I think that's fabulous that you took that intel early on, and instead of having the attitude, oh, you don't know, or I'm going to do this anyways, it's like, all right, let me see what I can do with this. Take this as feedback, and then harness the skill or whatever and apply the knowledge. And it changed everything.
Yeah.
So what do you, and a lot's changed from, 12 years ago to now. Yeah. How has leadership changed, or your approach or strategies with just the landscape of the world, from politics to economics to social media? Like, how has your strategy evolved?
Oh, that's a big, interesting, complicated question. But one of the things that I think hasn't changed, I'll start there, is that humans are humans, and humans need some fundamental things. They need trust with one another. They need human connection. They need clarity of expectations. They need to show up curious with one another. And what has been the most interesting part of this whole thing for me is the international work, where people, they like, well, it's completely different in Malaysia, or it's completely different in Switzerland. And you get in there, and everybody is dealing with the same stuff, problems with their bosses, feeling like they're underappreciated. The conflicts are all the same. And so, as now technology is what's changing so much right now, right? And everybody's saying, well, we've got AI, and maybe we don't even need, we just get AI to tell us how to lead and all that. In all that, we still need humans doing what humans do best, which is creating human connection and that innovation. And so that's what I would say is the thread through. But, obviously we went from everything being in person to everything being virtual. And now the questions that businesses are facing is, what do we do with our leadership development? Because it's way cheaper to do live online training. We don't have to fly everybody in, and it is cheaper. But I'm not sure that it is as effective. And we're really good at live online training. I mean, we have been doing it actually before. And I say that with some humility, but we really are. We've mastered the code of how to do, global cohorts and breakout and making it very interactive. But it is still not the same as being everybody in the same room. And so I think that is one of the biggest challenges as an entrepreneur I'm facing right now, is what is the best model? And if it has to be all virtual, then how do you make that as effective as it can be? But also convincing people that there is an ROI to bring people together in person, at least for part of the time. So our favorite model is in person, then some virtual live online in between, and then back in person as a capstone. So you still get that space learning over time. but you also get that connection. And I call it like the go to the ladies' room factor, which is there is inevitably, when I am doing in person, there is always a group of people who are following me on the break and asking me the questions that they were afraid to raise their hand to ask, and that's what you miss because they don't linger behind on the Zoom to ask those questions.
Right. Amen. Just that tangible energy exchange when it's, hey, how are you? And you can feel, I'm excited to see you. You can see there's another person in the room, that kind of stuff. I was the kid that had to go to class in college. Well, I was an athlete, so you had to literally, but also that's how I learned. Like, if I was a kid in 2020 and had to learn over Zoom, I don't think I would have graduated high school because I needed that human interaction and and facial expressions and things like that to know what was going where. And I think that made me a better leader athletically because you learn all the nonverbal cues that you can read other people in the room and stuff like that. So tell me, what is, you've done a lot of leadership. You've seen, I'm sure, a ton of leadership courses and stuff. What makes you guys different than like the average bear that's doing leadership out there?
The biggest thing that we hear is that it's incredibly practical and that a lot of people, focus, and this is good too, is, the academic, and everything we do is based in research. So it is grounded in all of that, but we don't teach it from an academic perspective or a philosophical perspective. And there is a space for all of that for sure. Mm-hmm. And, to really think about, go deep inside of yourself and do all this psychological. We're going to teach you how to have an accountability conversation. We're going to teach you how to run an effective meeting that gets results and people want to attend. We're going to teach you and give you the confidence and competence to manage through difficult conversations with folks. And I would say that is definitely, when meeting planners call, it's funny, they always say, okay, so what we need is you're the one who's going to give them something that they're going to take home and do something with. Because we brought in this celebrity person, this, Olympic athlete. We brought in this we brought in a humorist, a juggler, whatever. But you're the one that we're counting on giving them something that they can go do. So I think that's, but the kinds of things that we tackle are things that other companies are tackling too.
Well, give us an example of some of those things.
So, our latest book is called Powerful Phrases for Dealing with Workplace Conflict. And the subject is subline is what to say next to de-stress the workday, build collaboration, and calm difficult customers. And with that, it is based on research. We did the World Workplace Conflict and Collaboration Survey, 5,000 people in 46 countries, to really understand what was happening, to your point, today with conflict and how is it different than before the pandemic. And what we found is, then we asked people to think about a significant workplace conflict that they had in the past. And what advice would they give their former self if they were faced with that conflict again? And 55% said they would stay calm. And 21% said they would talk about it or talk about it sooner. Now, the thing about staying calm is that you can't tell somebody who's fired up and spitting their teeth to stay calm. It only makes them more angry. People need practical tools to do that. And you also need practical tools to talk about it or talk about it sooner. So in our book, we lay out 4 dimensions of more productive conflict. Connection. Are we connected as human beings? Clarity. Do we have shared understanding of success? Curiosity. Are we genuinely interested in one another's perspectives and what's possible? Because it's hard to be curious and furious at the same time. And then commitment. Do we have a shared agreement? And so for each one of those dimensions, no matter what conflict you're facing, we help you diagnose what's needed here. Do we need to connect? Do we need to show up curious? Do we need better clarity? And then we have 12 GOATs, greatest of all time, powerful phrases that you can then apply for each of those dimensions. So 3 for each of those dimensions. And then in the book, we actually have in the table of contents, what conflict are you having? Did somebody steal credit for your idea? Are you dealing with a micromanager, right? Are you feeling completely overwhelmed? You go to the table of contents, you flip to that, and we give you actual phrases to start the conversation. So that is what I've been traveling the world recently doing, helping people really think about getting prepared to have the confidence and competence to have the conversations that they might rather avoid. Just trained 1,000 people at Erie Insurance with a course we called Can We Talk for Real? And so that's, because now particularly people are not, when they're really feeling disconnected from one another, they're not handling those difficult conversations well.
Amen. Oh man, so many questions here. And I think I remember being in college and they're like business and ethics. I'm like, wait a second, this has to be a class. Like you have to tell people to not do the wrong thing. And I think kind of similarly with conflict, I think people think there won't be conflict for some reason. Like fellow entrepreneurs I talked to, like, well, I had no idea this was coming. I'm like, really? Like you didn't know this was going to be a thing? Because as a human being, a human experience, there's always conflict. And I've seen with our younger people, when you're on the phone more and more, you don't know how to address things in real life or having the hard conversation. I know you deal with these massive companies. How are you? Is it a different conversation with our young people that grew up with different social dynamics and social experience?
It's so funny that you say that because 3 times this week, I have talked to a C-level executive who has said, what are we going to do with these young people? Right. And they haven't been necessarily been given the skills to have these conversations. And so I think just like every other generation, you're not born knowing how to do this well. And it's not difficult, but what we see the biggest difference, to your point, is they want to do it all via text. Right? I mean, I had to have a conversation with my son, and I'm like, you really can't break up with the girl over text, right?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
good job.
Yeah, mama shouldn't have to say that, right? And he did. And just for your listeners, everybody relax. It's good. It all worked out.
Good.
But I think that's it. Is really, what are some of the foundational skills that, like the guy I was talking to the other day, asked us to build a video series. He's like, well, how do they know just even how to show up, like what to say? What is, I would call it couth, it's just general communication. And I think the thing is to not go in with a negative attitude saying, well, they should know. We call this magical thinking. Well, they should know. Their mama should have taught them better. They should know because they went to college. They should know. Well, but have you set clear expectations?
Yeah.
And you can't, and don't be vague. Like they said, well, we just want them to dress professionally. What does professionally mean? And if you have not really articulated what does professionally mean, and you're frustrated they're not dressing professionally, it's your fault, not theirs, right? Because how do they know what expectations are?
Right. And in case you're wondering, our young people know dressed up in professional is socks with sandals, not just sandals. So now you know if you don't know. No, I mean, all of Turmeric and Tequila, I come from marketing and branding. Influencers is a big thing. So it's disguised leadership. And I'd like to say inspires. The thing is, I believe in our young people. And while they, in our opinion, lack some experience navigating the world as we do, they are ahead in other things. So they come correct with other angles. And for people like us, it's like, how do we merge that gap and learn from each other? Because both sides are doing things right. And to your point, like, what are the expectations from both sides? So it's not always about calling out our young humans or the generation above us where you're like, why are you doing that? Like, what do you like? The best marketing in the world, I think, is that commercial where it's like trying to help your young people not become their parents when they're doing home insurance and whatnot. And I mean, they nailed it because it's like, saving all the sour cream containers and the Kleenex box covers. It's how do we further align these communities that want to potentially be on the same page, but we just came from different spaces and we have different expectations of what things are.
I agree with you 100%, Kristen. I am such a believer in mentoring and cross mentoring generationally. So I have a woman she's 81 years old. Her name is Beverly Kay, and she has been at this kind of work that I've been doing for a very long time. And we have a beautiful relationship because I help her with some of the things that feel newer to her, helping her understand AI and, social media and, well, how do you really engage on LinkedIn and some of those things? And she's like, she knows everybody. And so she's like, who you really need to meet. And she's helping open doors for me. And we just do it because we love each other, and those kinds of relationships can make such a difference. And I think sometimes we think, oh, we only need to have these one-way, we need to go find a mentor. But if you can find these collaboration relationships, it can be very, very fulfilling.
Amen. Strategic partnerships. I hate putting a business tuxedo on, becoming good friends, but our older humans are the OG influencers. It's influence is old school word of mouth. So it's know, like, and trust people like, oh, they told, Betty told me to go get my hair done from this person. I'm not going to look up their LinkedIn, whatever. I'm just going to go. So it's all kind of similar. Give us some, like, if there's entrepreneurs listening, particularly in the podcast realm, I know people are really starting to focus on monetizing their podcast. What are some practical tips that any leader that's sitting there being like, all right, I'm a leader, I want to be better on the mic, better influencer, what have you, that they can apply to their life right now?
I would say really get good at setting clear expectations. So I hear when I work with entrepreneurs or fast growing startups, one of the things that they wrestle with the most is translating the vision that they have. And by the way, I have this trouble too with my team, because you're moving fast and you have this vision and you think everybody should be able to get behind this vision, and then they're not in it like you are. And so to really be able to break it down, explain why you're doing what you're doing, help them understand the way you're making decisions, the way you're thinking through things, which strategic markets you're headed into. And we say respond with regard to other people's ideas. So, if your team, somebody on your team brings you an idea, don't just say, well, that's stupid, that's never going to work, because now you've just told them to not bring you any more ideas and you will shut them down. And so to be able to say, use when somebody brings you a wacky off-base tingling idea, which is what my TEDx is about, is how do you respond in a way with gratitude, thanking them not for the exact idea, but for the act of contributing information that's going to help them bring you better ideas the next time. And then an invitation to continue contributing. And, where we really do need an idea is right here. Yeah.
Yeah. I love all this. And if you're a CEO, if you're a coach, if you're a parent, I think this conversation is applicable to leadership in all capacity and really just about human communication.
Yes, for sure.
Tell us, we touched on the book. Tell us a little bit about Synergy Stack team development systems. Give us the 411 there.
Yes. So this is our brand new thing. We're so excited about it. It starts with a card deck, but that's all around team development and getting teams to really discover for themselves the habits that are going to be most critical for success, and then building plans toward that. So it's a 48 card deck that focuses on those 4 dimensions of collaboration that I talked about. But what's behind it is an entire system. So it's dozens of facilitator guides so that you can say, well, what are we doing? Are we trying to jumpstart a new team? Are we kicking off a project? Are we doing one-on-one coaching? Are we doing one-on-one mentoring? So you pick what you're trying to do. You go in, you've got a step-by-step facilitation guide, and then a resource center for every single habit. There's an article and a video so that you can use that with your teams. And we certify coaches in the Synergy Stack process so that you can use this. If you're out there and you're a coach and you want a new way to really get teams developed very quickly, you can get certified. And then so that's what it's all about.
Very cool. I love that you guys have developed really simple, practical strategies out of really complicated innovation, because sometimes people, I think simple is just like, oh, casual, whatever, but actually simple is genius. Like when you can simplify something and make it, a quick process to develop the team quickly, that's extraordinary, because time is the big finite resource we're all working with here.
Yeah, the simpler, the better. And breaking anything you want people down to actual habits and behaviors really makes a big difference.
Amen. There's so much we can unpack here. I really love the conversation around the human side of leadership and leading into that. I think we grew up with a lot of it's because I said so, and it's this, and it's more like, no, man, you got to tie the human and demonstrate that thing that you're requesting, expectations, communication. It's really incredible. I like to wrap up all my conversations with the same question. So Karin, I'd ask you, what is success to you?
Success is making a long-term impact so people feel that they are more confident and competent to lead well. And that when I see, when people come back to me 5 years later and they're like, that thing that you taught me has changed my life, it's changed my leadership. That's what success looks like.
Amen. Impact. I love when my leaders, and obviously you're a leader, come in and it's not about them. It's about something bigger, and seeing that. And you've run enough laps when that's kind of the inline.
Yeah.
Well, I love this. Hit us with links, any sort of social handles, anything you want to share or events you have coming up.
Yeah, so it's Let's Grow Leaders is the website. The book is Powerful Phrases for Dealing with Workplace Conflict. If you go to our website, there are so many free resources. You can download free chapters of any of our books. You can learn more about the Synergy Stack facilitation training, and you can subscribe to our blog. And every single week we have a very high quality content article of practical tools. We have a podcast. David runs a podcast called Leadership Without Losing Your Soul. And I do a LinkedIn video show called Asking for a Friend. So would love to connect in any of those ways.
I love it. They're out here, My Intentional Humans. It's amazing. Go check out Karin. She's got some incredible stuff going on. They check a lot of boxes. And whether you're in, the Fortune 500 or entrepreneurship business or parent, leader, coach, these are all applicable skills. So I really encourage you to check out what she's got going on. It is genuinely practical and not a 10,000 page book that you got to read over 5 years. So lean into that. I want to say a special thank you to our sponsors, Lux Neuro, Neurofeedback and Counseling. Lux Neuro wants to meet you. If you are ready to transform your life, visit them at luxneuro.com. Declan James Watches, check them out. DeclanJamesWatches.com, local and veteran owned. And Colorado Clownfish Swim School, swim lessons and water safety training for all ages. They believe in life skills through sports. So go waterproof your family today. Karin, I love the energy. Go crush all these marathons. And I hope you're wearing your company logo on your back because influencer-ness is always real. But I appreciate your time and energy. If you're listening to podcasts, we are anywhere you get your podcast. And if you want to watch us on video, check us out on YouTube. And we will see you at our next conversation soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.